seats. That's a minority, but we saw aspects of precision scheduled railroading tucked into the operating process of this company with a new COO under CEO Alan Shaw and push towards an improved operating ratio. So it's coming. Meantime, shares are under pressure today, nonetheless.
Meantime, the startup industry centered around NVIDIA could be on the verge of a shakeup. Tech Check's going to look into that after a short break. We'll also get the latest on Live Nation as Attorney General Merrick Garland now announces that new antitrust lawsuit. We're back in a moment.
All right, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon, whatever you're watching this. So we looking at right now stock ELF, ELF. It's a beauty stock and it's like blow the whole thing. 20% gain today after the earnings. So unbelievable. But also the thing is I already checked on the Robinhood. And contract, it was like pricey, so it didn't blow like 5,000%. What blow 5,000, 2,000% was Boeing. Boeing just dropped 5% now, dropped 6%. Actually, Boeing right now trading on a little support for this block. This bull block that we have another website that we use it. So my computer today decided to go a little slow, so I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I think the something about cash flow, they're gonna be low in cash, something like that. So this is the Boeing that you guys seeing right now. And let me see, I think in 15 minutes, I think it was 5 minutes. Yeah, let me see, 1 hour. No, not even 1 hour. 3 minutes? No, the blocks disappear, which is kind of weird. I pretty much sure they have a blocks in here. Let's take, let's see, 2 hours. Okay, you have some bull blocks. 180 down here, 177. Hit the support here because I'm pretty much sure you have some blocks over here, but as you can see, it bounced from the support, and so it hit it like this 174. It was a support here, and it went up. Right now, it's creating a little resistance probably. But this was good because the contracts from Boeing just hit a ballistic, hit a big time on the contracts, and the put contracts today. Let's see, the 172 is paying 4,300%. So it's like a cent. Now it's $43. This has, if I'm not mistaken, probably a little the support. Another probably. Let me see here. Let's go zoom in 15 minutes. No, actually, the support was right here, the 174, but this traded down before at right here. Now you can see it. That's what I'm talking about. It was in the day. So the day kind of showed these BUOB blocks that it was trading on these Fibonacci 0.05 or 163. Kind of hit over here, went up, and now it's trying to come back again. This is the last support for Boeing at 164. So let's see if it go that way. The earnings for them, it's June, so it's gonna be July 24th. So we can take a look and see what they are right now for a Open interest. Come on, man. I don't know what to do with it. It's no virus. It's Boeing. Not showing over here. Okay. So Boeing is showing right now kind of neutral to bearish, going to neutral to bearish in these indicators, and this single indicator for this, it's 67, which is 0.67, which is like neutral. So this might change. This 190 smoke big time. So this is 180. That was good one. So okay, let's take a look at our save trades. So we have the possible plays for NVIDIA. Both was a disaster. Actually, this bear put spread was a disaster. It was at 98% down because NVIDIA went up. So this is 100% loss. This one at opening, and it was profit. It was profit, I think $200. Right now it's down 5%. So let's take a look. So right now the only way that we make money on this play for next week, it is if the prices stay somewhere around 1,040 to 1,030, which is right now trading at 1,047 with a 10% gain. So at this point, it's so far is a losing bet, but anything can happen by next week, and people can like take profits and start to sell it. Sometimes the sell orders, especially like big orders, take a little bit longer. So if you drop like 2% for next week, we are in good shape. I'm gonna hold this one because, you know, just to see if this long call condor, I think what I made a mistake also in this sell call over here should be a little higher because I want to make this profit over here. So that was the thing. But right now it's down 11%. So I would have not hold it this long. I would have kind of sell right at close. Okay. I mean, right at open. The possible plays, so this one was dead. I can close this one. It's not go anywhere. And okay, we're still holding this Shark Ninja for long for September 20. MongoDB, I think it's next week. The earnings right now is down 30%. Workday, if I'm not mistaken, it could be today. Let me see. I think it's today, Workday. Tonight. We have a put. We have a downside. Today after hours, yeah. So on Workday, why we have the downside? Because Workday, this is my study. So the PCR volume is bullish, the weekly is bearish, and the overall is bearish. Pulse on Weibo is 2.01. They have a neutral bye, bearish, short interest 2.5. The movement on the week is 7%, 9%. I decided to go short. Okay, let's see if anything changed in that situation. Workday. And let's see. we had a snowflake. Snowflake was bullish, way too bullish. But then a change for bearish during the opening. Actually, pause market last night after the earnings, it was up to 8%, and then this morning it opened and it went down 5%. It's kind of crazy. So it dropped 13% from closing last night to open this morning. So right now I have the change was 0.49 and this website over here. Let's take a look. Let me see here. No, it's still the same. 0.50, 49. The open interest went a little bit higher, 22, 32. And the weekly is, let's see. Sorry for the noise, 2.19. So let's see the weekly here, what I have. It went down a little bit, it was 2.88. So try to become bullish kind of ish, but still bearish. Let's take a look on the workday. Let's go enter. So you can see right now it's trading at 262.50 on that. It's 11:59, almost noon. This money mover is gonna be done. It's gonna be the judge. If you go down 7%, it's gonna go trade it somewhere around this close, little bit by the little below the support on the day chart, which is like 244. So as you can see right now, I posted this long time ago at 252. It's trading 10 points up, so it's at like $1,000. It's hitting this line over here. What do I have this line? I don't even know. This like resistance support on this, and it going to that line right now. See this one right here. I have a blue line over here. Change for red line. Okay. So this kind of red support resistance on this price, which is the Fibonacci 1.11, 262, 264. So if you did the same thing with the snowflake, it might like go the same way. So I don't know. Waiting for the computer works. Okay, so well, first of all, they have this big short position, open a big gap, look like it would be like a head and shoulder down here on the bottom, but then they hit this and open at 168, open at 168, and right now trading at 159. So it's still down, but down 2%, 2.5% inside this block right now. So we see. I mean, the play here, I don't know. I think I closed. Yeah, I closed. So possible play, so Luis play. I closed. It was a 207 call, but didn't work. So Intuit, I had called the Intuit, but then I flipped the put, because when I took a look on the this one YouTube was, let me see here, extremely bearish. Put call ratio, volume, and open interest. So 1.9, 1.32, and the single is 1.47. Probability distribution between 559 and 805, 100%. The put is implied over here 673, and let's take a look this website. Statistics, it's going higher. 2.7, only 1% short interest. Stock split, score, financial position, the higher is the better, 7. So it's the forecast. What's the price predicting that one? It's only 1% in the short interest. And if you look, let's take a look on that. Let's go into. Let's see. NVIDIA got a 88% buy, 12 hold, 0 sell. Come on, work, computer. So on a date, we have trading somewhere in a support. It looks like it was head and shoulder down here. Let's take a look. Week trade in the right side is bear block with resistance at 679, with the support down here in the 450 on the weekly. See 1 hour. Right now we're hitting like the resistance. 2 hours. Blocks over here on the bottom for the buy position, the bulls. Well, we kind of like in a bull market, you know. So I mean, it's very difficult to short positions in a bull market because you never know what's going to happen. Because, you know, you short some position and then, you know, just like it don't go nowhere. So right now I was looking at, try to find out like a SPY, see if it's going to go down. And it was traded from 533, went down to like 530, and now it's back again to 531. But I thought from 533 I gotta go to 537. So it's just gonna trade in that, especially because the NVIDIA is pushing the market up at 10% right now. 1047. So right now it's hitting right at the resistance. You got this sell position over here, kind of gonna press the price down, but also we have this buy, this supports that kind of hold the price and the 529. So it's just like unbelievable. So what I did, I take a look on this website here, was the E-mini SP500, and if you try to, now it's 5332. So if you try to look on a 5332, so it's right between 25 and 30. So it was like neutral because we have volume here on the calls 4 and 0 on put, but then we have a 4 in put and just 1 in call. So it's very neutral situation at this moment. I don't think it's gonna go nowhere. It has to be, even if the bull try to push up it might go 534, and 535 it hit the wall, and then if the bulls are strong enough, they're gonna push for 536 because it's on 11. But there's a big wall here on the 535, and 532 has a bull side, so it should be between 531 is 14 is a wall here, but then if you pass the 531, and actually passed it, but then somehow they pushed down, and it would be like 532, 533. Yeah, the 533 hit this 4 volume and just dropped from here, like 534 actually. Yeah. It's 534 high, and then drop. That could be this 534 with 0, so 533 or 535 with 63, so that would be that one. For this block over here, so we see, right now it's, I don't know what to do. Arm is going down at this point here, like the resistance. Unbelievable. $12.09. I don't know what to do. Let's put it like 35. See if we hit that. So let's bring this guy. He's big analysis on tech.
Given how sure everyone was about this economic slowdown that hasn't materialized, but if we start getting those buyback announcements like what we've gotten with Apple across the board, it's more support for these stocks.
Yeah.
One other thing on NVIDIA that I think we glossed over, and Weiss is right, there really is this uniform love story for the stock on the street. And historically, that's not the best place to start a new position. So you ask, should people sell? What about all the people that are sitting here watching this from the sideline?
Not even sell, just maybe trim. I go back to the genius, right? Stan Druckenmiller, okay? One of the greatest investors who's ever lived, right? Runs a family office now. And he loves the name. He's in the name. And he trimmed a few weeks ago and said as much on CNBC, right? There's portfolio management. I'm not talking about selling the whole position, but I think there are some who are going to look at this gain and say this is unbelievable, whether it's justified or not, and say maybe I should do a draw.
So this is what I'm getting to, and this is what I've done on the way up. And we talked yesterday in January of 23. Would have been a fair assumption to say NVIDIA at 45 times earnings is pricing in a lot of good news. Then it went to 34 times earnings, and the stock went up 500% while that happened. This is crazy times. This is not going to be repeated next year, the year after, the year after. It'll still be a great growth company. You're just not going to get 100% growth rates as far as the eye can see. Meanwhile, you got 46 buys on the street, 7 overweight, 7 holds. That's 60 analysts, not a sell in sight. That's not the best time to be oh, maybe I should buy some NVIDIA. So I wanted to not just address, should you take some off? Again, that's subjective based on your situation. Mm-hmm. Is today the day you want to establish a brand new position? My personal opinion, I don't think so.
Yeah. Liz, you look at the keep your eye on the ball sort of strategy of why people continue to like these stocks. What do you want to hit at, right? Cash, they got piles of cash. The free cash flow, unrivaled. Buybacks, you get that. You get the dividend hikes now, as Josh was talking about, and you have more CapEx than most. So, where's the hit in that story?
Well,
right?
the interest,
where's the knock on that story?
Right. We've continued to compare
this period in time to the dot-com craze. And the things that are making these stocks different is that they're engaging in shareholder-friendly actions that make them look more like large-cap blue chips.
Well, they're also profitable rather than a lot of the
fundamentals behind
ridiculous
them.
Stocks that we saw back then.
That's right. There are fundamentals underneath it. They're profitable. There's shareholder-friendly actions going on. So they are a good story. And if you've been a holder, it's a good thing to be a holder. The question now going forward is if the environment changes, which at some point it will, right? The Fed will eventually have to start cutting rates. We will find out more about inflation. It will change likely towards the end of this year, at least in 2025. What then is the effect? What's the effect on these stocks and how much further can they go? If you're looking at something like the semiconductor space or NVIDIA in particular, to Josh's point, it's not going to continue at this clip. And any theme, whether you believe in AI as a really strong theme or not, I do believe that it's a theme that will change industries across the board. But any theme goes through a boom and bust cycle.
Even if not a bust, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to progress. Let's be clear. This story doesn't fail if you don't continue to have a 629% year-over-year net profit or a 262% overall
But the problem is the expectations of the new investors. So this is like a behavioral thing where people look at NVIDIA, they're excited about it. They're like, oh, my God, this company is growing revenue 100% year-over-year. I have to be in it. And then if they're like, looks like next year we think 70 to 80% growth. Most normal people would say that's awesome, but if you just bought the stock yesterday, you're like, what the hell? And that's where it gets really difficult to buy the winners of the past.
Here's where the issue is. The issue is what you talk about is everything at the company. When you do analysis, you got to look at what's going on outside the company. So they have 80% share. Nobody wants to be reliant, not Microsoft, not Apple, not Meta, reliant upon a company that has 80% share because they have too much pricing power. So I'm not saying it's going to be the death knell to the company. Of course it's not. But they can't sustain that share level, number one. Number two, you take a look at Meta. Meta had the same basically quarter. Actually, they blew it out even more, but they talked about increase in CapEx, and they took that stock down 15%. So to me, that means now Meta's got its own issues in terms of likability, but the point is that you've got too much euphoria here right now. So it will pull back, to Josh's point, and that's when you buy it, not here.
The NVIDIA halo effect, so to speak, is in full effect today, as you might expect. Christina Partsinevelos is here at Post 9 to tell us the other things that are moving. There are many, as the euphoria, if you want to use that word, is spreading.
Midas touch, pixie dust, euphoria, whatever you want to call it. The report tells us how much buying power still exists in this market. Demand broadening across sectors from auto to sovereign AI. And that means Supermicro stands to benefit. And I say that because Supermicro is a server assembler. And then you also have equipment maker ASML. There's a list of companies that are benefiting right now. Dell, HPE, OEM manufacturers. Those advanced chips also require high bandwidth memory. In comes Micron. You can see shares climbing higher today. You mentioned AMD. You talk about the valuation. It's a little bit high, but it's still seen as a competitor to a certain degree. Shares are down, but the chips are expected to be cheaper and good at inferencing. That's the second part of the large language model. And then they also received recent support from Microsoft just not too long ago, and that shows it could be a substitute for NVIDIA, although it is more cyclical in nature, so lower. Speaking of inferencing, hyperscalers, to all of your points, you're talking about everybody, Meta, for example, they're going to be aggressively looking to build their own chips. And that's when you bring in Broadcom, the main leader for those, followed by Marvell to support that. But NVIDIA's multi-billion-dollar Ethernet comment did hurt shares of competitor Arista Network, and then Cisco also a little bit lower, but you can see Arista down about 4%.
Taiwan Semi,
and
too,
I didn't even get to mention that, yeah.
Well, Bank of America is talking about it today, right? Positive read-through. And that's the one you own.
Yeah, who calls it out? I mean, last quarter, Jensen came out and said, if I can only get more capacity from Taiwan Semi. So they are the two bet. ASML, they're fully sold out for this year. You need them to expand essentially the acreage on chips as they get smaller, their EUV product. So they're playing about Vertiv, another one. Vertiv, that's had a major move. That stock's more than doubled.
It's up a lot today,
since November. It is. And you know why? Because he
earlier.
talked about growth in data centers, and they make the cooling racks. So there's a uniqueness to them as a public company, and frankly, that's way overvalued, but I still own it because it's going to keep going.
I was calling this the NVIDIA stimulus package. You look at the SMH names. There's only 3 semiconductor names in the SMH that are down over the last year. One of them is Skyworks, one of them is ST Micro, and onsemi. Not down much. The median name in the SMH over the last year is plus 56%. And there's no way all of those companies have had that much of a fundamental
I'm not looking at the
uplift.
NVIDIA stimulus package. I'm looking at the AI stimulus package.
Yeah.
NVIDIA happens to have the product at this point in time, but it's AI that's driving it.
Well,
it's not
that's
NVIDIA
the point.
that's driving
I think
it.
that's the point that Josh is ultimately making.
I think the chips got a huge boost from I think the chip, all of the chips, regardless of whether they're doing AI stuff at the fringes or they're right in the middle like ASML, I think they all benefited from this explosion in data center build out. And of course, NVIDIA is at the center of that, but they can't do it alone. There's going to be 20, 30 companies that are all seeing an uptick in orders as a result.
You just talked about revenue monetization. I think that's one point that Jensen briefly mentioned on the call that's not getting enough attention. He said that for every $1 spent on AI infrastructure, cloud providers have an opportunity to earn $5 in GPU instant hosting. So that's an opportunity too. He's already putting a dollar amount on how much money some of these renter companies can make. Something to keep in mind for him.
Yeah, good perspective. Thank you, Christina Partsinevelos. Snowflake, by the way, is under pressure today after missing earnings estimates. Stephanie Link owns it. She joins us now. We need to get her word on the backside of this earnings report, stock reaction. So what do we think here, Steph?
Well, I thought the quarter was actually pretty good. The only thing I really care about is product revenue growth, and that accelerated 5 points to 34% year over year. Daily query volume growth accelerated to 5 billion. Bookings grew 11%. RPO growth grew 46%. So the quarter itself showed that they are seeing stability in their core data warehousing business. That's the thing that I was worried about 2 quarters ago. That's the reason the stock was down 30% from last quarter to today. Today's reaction doesn't make any sense to me at all, and I will be a buyer when I'm not restricted. The reason it's down is because they're increasing their investments. And as a result, operating margins, they guided down 3 points, and they also guided down free cash flow margins by 3 points. Free cash flow margins are going to still be 26% versus the peer group of 19%. So I think people are fretting about this. They're overthinking it about competition. There certainly is competition, but I'm glad that they are investing, and they're investing from a position of stability and strength. So I will be a buyer in the next few days.
All right. Well, that's your headline. I'll be a buyer. You let us know exactly when you make that move.
I will.
Speaking of, you bought more Target. Let's take care of some more business while we have you. After the stock obviously was down on the other side of the earnings report.
Yeah, the quarter was basically in line. Maybe a few puts and takes. SG&A was higher than expected because of marketing, but gross margins were also higher than expected. And so I think they cancel each other out. The reason the stock is down, was down yesterday, 7%, is because we were all thinking that by the end of this year, they would see a 6% operating margin. They just posted 5.3% this quarter, and that was the disappointing. We all thought that they would get closer to 6, and that would yield them $10.50 to $11 a share in earnings power. They just reiterated guidance, and it's not $10 or $11. In fact, it's more like about 9 or so. And so to me, it was an overreaction because I don't think the margin story is gone from this company. And in fact, I think they are at an inflection point for Q2 to start to see a lot of these initiatives, which is eating at the margin, starting to lead to better same-store sales growth. I think you're going to see 0 to 2% same-store sales growth next quarter, 3% in the second half of the year, operating margin and gross margin expansion as well. You're trading at 15 times. I just thought it was way overdone on the downside.
Hey, where's the news that says Stephanie Link is buying DuPont on the split? I mean, this is your playbook. GE, 3M, what's going on?
This is my playbook. It's on my radar screen, Scott. I'm a little bit like on the industrial fatigue spin-out stories, right? We've had so many of them.
You only have so many of them.
But we do, and I only have so much cash. And oh, by the way, Looking within industrials, you guys were talking about the SMH and data center and AI and all that. Look at Quanta, look at Eaton, and look at GE Vernova. All three of them are up today on the same theme. But DuPont, I think it's just going to take time. This is not going to happen until 12 to 18 months. And so I think I have some time. But the sum of the parts, Jeff Sprague at Vertical Research does great work on it. He has a sum of the parts of 102. So I am definitely keeping my eye on it. I'm a little disappointed Breen is not going to stay on as CEO, but he'll be executive chair and he'll see this thing through. So stay tuned on that one. I might buy it.
Yeah, first person I thought of today when I saw that news. Thanks for joining us, Steph. That's Stephanie Link. Let's talk about Live Nation. By now, you've probably heard the DOJ is suing that company for alleged antitrust violations. Josh Brown, obviously, in that name. So we need to hear from you. I mean, you've had your eye on this. There have been some calls of late regarding this stock. So what do you do now that this news is coming out?
I mean, it was expected. I think the street didn't expect them to go so far as wanting to break up the company. So maybe that part is a little bit bolder than what most people were thinking. But everyone knew something was coming. It was very well telegraphed. We've been talking about this since 2022. Look, I think we're in a political season where it's super popular to beat up on things that young people are into. This is probably why you're seeing all of the resistance in Washington to crypto starting to fall like dominoes. Probably why you're going to see a full embrace by the Republicans of TikTok, and they're going to quote unquote rescue it. Everybody wants people under 40 to pay attention to their message. That's why Robert Kennedy is doing GameStop shenanigans on Twitter. So now you have a situation where a lot of people are mad at Ticketmaster because they couldn't get into Taylor Swift, or they think they paid too much money. They don't understand that the artists are the people setting prices. They don't understand that the fees on tickets are predominantly going to the venues themselves. So it's really, really easy to whip young people up into a frenzy about something like this. So, of course, politically, it makes sense for this to drop right now ahead of the election. And don't be shocked if you see people running for office, use this as like live bait. And so that's how I feel about it. I don't know exactly how long these things typically take.
You're not doing anything with the stock?
No.
Bottom line?
No, well, you knew this was coming, so like, why would?
Yeah, but maybe you didn't know it was going to be to this degree. You said they're being calling for a breakup.
This has been going on for 15 years. This is 15 years. There have been consent decrees. There have been accusations that the company has been in violation of consent decrees. There have been negotiations. Look, it's a tough issue because here's the problem. Of course, no one should have monopolistic power in any industry. However, consumers like it when venues and ticketing and artists and everyone is on the same page and things run smoothly. Was at the Yankee game last night. Showed up with 5 guys. One guy, not too bright, brought his backpack with a laptop in it. They told him, you got to go walk around the other side to 161st and Jerome, find a locker, and then come back around here to the Delta Sky Club. Super annoying. I had to share his ticket out of the 5. Like 3 years ago, this would have been insurmountable. I would have had to wait outside for him and miss the first inning. It was so seamless doing this with the Ticketmaster app. The consumer likes it. That's like the bot. Yeah, do we want lower fees? Of course, everyone wants lower fees. Take that up with the venues that are hosting these events and performances. So I'm not saying that there won't be a negative outcome here for Live Nation. I'm not an attorney.
But you're not selling.
I'm not a seller.
Okay.
Because I think this is well understood, and there will be some sort of workout. Okay. It could take years.
All right. Steve Weiss is a seller of one big name, and we'll tell you which one it is next.